hard for us to remember when we were simply a soul, hanging out in the universe, enjoying our experience, looking down at this planet Earth. And perhaps we would wonder, what would it be like to just slide down through time and space and the density of matter and arrive on this physical, vibrantly beautiful planet filled with light and color and sound and water and sunshine and all of these adventures wide open for us to experience in the physical form. Each of us guiding one another and walking side by side in community. What would that journey be like? Welcome to Healing Our Souls. Welcome to Healing Our Souls. Today we are introducing pets. My pet and Brendan's pet. Well, I guess we're also introducing Brendan Fitzgibbons, but we're starting with the pets. So Brendan Fitzgibbons is a comedian, a writer, a creator, an actor. The list is endless. I'll go over that in a little bit. But the main thing that we are starting with today is Brendan is a pet owner, and he just got Willie. Willie is on his lap. And when Brendan got Willie, he fell in love. And the more he talked about Willie, the more I realized maybe we needed a pet too. Best decision ever, right? Is what you told me. Yeah, we have a cat. We got a cat when we moved into the house. She was here first. And so we ended up, I think we moved into her house. So she's been running the house ever since. But we've talked about getting a dog and we never have. And when Brendan started talking about how much Willie had changed his life, I sat with it in meditation over and over. And finally I started talking to my family about it. And they said, no, we don't have time for a dog. We don't need a dog. You're crazy. You never wanted a dog. They literally took all of the excuses. Remember me telling you about this? They took all the excuses I had given them for years and threw them back at me. And so I had to convince them, and it took a while.
What do you think switched? Because I remember, like last year when I was at your house, you were like, no.
Never. Not just no, never.
It was a hard no.
It was a hard no. Well, like for me, there's a fear of dogs. I've always had this fear because I've been bitten by dogs. And yeah. I have memories of being chased by dogs before. Like I'm not a big dog fan, but my son has always wanted a dog and he's 13, and my daughter's about to graduate and she's always wanted a dog. So I thought for sure, like, oh, okay, I'll tell them I'm considering it and they'll all say yes. No. They wanted nothing to do with it. So we ended up just sort of looking at shelters. My husband's always been a pet owner. He's always had dogs. He's a dog lover like you. So we walk into PetSmart. I guess it's been like 6 weeks now. 6 weeks. We walk into PetSmart. They're doing an adoption for a shelter. And this little guy was sitting there in the crate and his tail started wagging. And he's just looking at us. And I was like, oh, this is the dog. Oh, God, like this is the dog. And so he came home with us and
So you knew.
I knew. And then Ryan was with me, and Ryan immediately said the same thing. He's like, that's our dog.
That's great. Yeah, you got to know. I think that's really key.
Yeah. We'll see how he does here. What do you think? He's like, oh, bacon bits. So we've tried different leashes, by the way. You'll love this. He bit through 2 cloth, what do you call those, fiber leashes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the hardest day I had with Willie, it was like maybe the 5th day I had him. I went to go to this coffee shop that I always go to, and I went to go in and order something. And I came out and he bit through 3/4 of the leash to the point where it was like this much. Like if he would have bit any more, he would have just taken off. So I literally like had to hold him into a hardware store, carry him, like drag him by his collar into a hardware store, retape his leash, and then walk him home on this like totally busted leash. But I was like, dude, if you would have had any more bites, you would have been gone. Like, he would have been gone. And that's when I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. That was the hardest day.
It's intense. Okay, so tell us how you met Willie.
So I met Willie. I've kind of been looking for dogs. Like, it's always been in my back burner of my mind for like almost 3 years because I've always loved dogs. And my girlfriend is obsessed with dogs. She's constantly been pushing a hard dog agenda on me. And we met like 4 or 5 dogs over the last 3 years. And I was like, no. And Lauren, my girlfriend, like wanted every single one. She didn't even care what kind of dog it was. She's like, yeah, this is it. I'm like, no, this is not it. And so one night, this is actually interesting. My roommate was like, maybe right before I got him, she's like, I was just reading this article where it said, one of the best things you can do for your mental health is get a dog. And she later told me, she purposely told me that because she knew that's what would get me. The mental health thing. And I heard it and I was like, that's it, I'm gonna look for dogs. So I literally that night I went online to petfinder.com and I just started searching through dogs in New York City. And I saw him. He was the first dog I saw. Aww. And his name was Charlie. And I saw him and I was like, I really like this dog. His name was Charlie then. And then I sent him to Lauren. And I filled out an application because he was a rescue. He came from Georgia. And then that Sunday, so the application process usually is really intense, but for whatever reason, this one was like 15 minutes. They check your references. They call your friend, they call like my friends. And then they're like, okay, well, if you want them, you can pick them up on Sunday. And I was like, oh shit. I was not ready for that. And so we go and I got there exactly when it started. She was like, you should get there early just in case someone grabs him. I got there exactly when he started. I saw him in the cage and I was like, this is my dog.
You know it.
You totally know it. And I remember thinking like, I got to get him out of this cage immediately because it's this really small cage and he's a big dude.
How much does he weigh?
He's 62 pounds, 62 and a half.
Look at his face. I mean, seriously, he's so cute.
He's so cute, man. And so then it's funny because then like I tried to talk myself out of it. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. Even though I knew I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And then I knew I was going to do it. And then luckily I brought 2 of my roommates and Lauren came with. And my roommate Laura was like, I've never met a dog that was this good. She's like, she kept saying that to me. And I was like, okay. And then of course Lauren was crying. My other roommate Pascal was nervous because she had kind of a fear of dogs, but now they're like best buddies.
Oh,
yeah.
I love what you said that when everyone's around Willie, they all fall asleep.
Yeah, that's true. He totally does. Like, yeah, just this morning, he was like laying on my feet, just chilling. And it makes you just like relax all the time. Whoa, computer. Computer. No. But yeah, no, he's been amazing.
I remember when it was like the first few days that I was with Star and I was with them all day long. It was intense, right? And I'm like, oh God, no, this is a really bad decision. I don't know if and we did adopt to own. So I had a week to kind of figure it out. And I was like, he's got to go back. Like, I can't do this. And you kept saying, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. Like, hang in there.
Yeah, well, because I asked my friend Matt, one of my best friends, because he has had a dog now for 2 years. And I asked him, I'm like, did you ever like have a hard day? He's like, yeah, there was one day when Murray he went to the bathroom in my bed. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, I probably had 2 of those days. There's definitely a realization when you get a dog that you're like, oh, this is all the time. That's like sort of where it hits you. And I was like, oh shit. But I'm lucky because I have my roommates help me out. Lauren helps me out all the time. So it's been I would say I only had like 2 days where I was like, oh God.
That's pretty good. And you got him this summer, right?
Yeah, I got him in May. So it's been almost 7 months.
Seriously. Wow. That went fast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Huh. Okay, so tell me why you love him so much.
I love him so much because first of all, I think he's the perfect dog.
Well, maybe. Mine's trying to
Everybody thinks that about the dog. It's great. No, he's so good with other dogs. He's such a sweet dude. He always like chills and like I feel like he's so fun. Like when I take him to the dog park, he just goes nuts and he's like so playful and fun and he's like super athletic, but then he'll be like super chill and loving at home. And he is always so well behaved. Whenever he meets other dogs, he's just like so excited to meet them. And he like, it's crazy how he always matches their energy like in a really cool way. Mm-hmm. And he almost kind of feels like, well, at this point, he just feels like a part of like, if I don't have a family, but he feels like he's like one of my first family member. But no, he's so fun. He's super snuggly. Like He's super sweet. Like my roommates love him. He's really handsome. Everyone always loves he has like little eyeliner on his eyes. I'll show you. He's sleeping right now. You gotta show.
Oh.
Let me show your face.
Oh my God, he does. Oh, you are so cute.
He's so cute, and can you show your bow tie? I know I'm choking you. Can you show it? Do you have your bow tie?
A little high.
Bow tie. I'm choking you. I know. I'm sorry. But he's super fun. Like my family just met him. I took him to New Jersey, and my immediate family, they loved him, and he loves Andrea, my cousin, who obviously he loves her dog. He's just better than I ever thought. He came like house trained. I don't know what happened. Our joke is like that we stole somebody else's dog because like he came house trained. He's like thrown up in my bed. That was like the worst thing he's done. But he's super well behaved. He like knows tricks. It's crazy. It's awesome.
You're such a proud dad. Like it's the coolest thing to see.
I'm a very proud dad.
You know what I realized when we first got the dog? His name was Manuel, I think, was it? And we're like, no. So my daughter came up with all these different names. She's like, I think he should be Apollo or Draco. I mean, she had these awesome names for him. And I was like, okay, we'll go with Apollo. And then I kept walking him, and he goes to the bathroom every hour and a half because we're potty training, right?
Yeah.
I'm out in the middle of the night, and it's dark, and it's first in the morning. And so I was out walking him all the time the first few days. I'm like, all I'm looking at is the stars. Like, I just keep looking at the stars because I'm out here walking the dog. So I said, we're going to change his name to Star. And it's fun. Like, there's something about when you claim them, I guess, or they claim you, and it just starts to all gel.
Oh, yeah.
What I've noticed is like he makes me present. He forces me to be in this moment because you can't do anything else but focus on what their needs are.
Yeah, and for me, a big part of it too is like I live in New York. I'm super busy. My schedule's crazy. I get kind of overwhelmed by like other people's energy sometimes. So I love that like I get to come home and he just like doesn't care about any of that. Yeah. I spend a lot of time, thinking about my career and myself, and he's like the first thing that I'm able to deter my mind and not focus so much on myself. And I'm like, but he's sleeping. It's fine. Everything's fine. Oh yeah, he's just relaxing. So like that is like, it totally is a priority shift for me in that way. Like I'm able to like shift my mind at least for a bit away from my stupid worries sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
I get it. All right. So my puppy fell asleep.
All right.
I was not expecting. I thought I'd be taking him to the crate so he would be good while I was on the call.
Yeah, Willie's sleeping too. That's what's cool about Willie. Like, if you just leave him alone for 5 minutes, he's just like, all right, I'm out.
We're not there yet.
He'll get there. He'll get there.
All right. So how about we switch gears for a second and talk about comedy and manifesting and whatever. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Well, the manifesting, actually, I can talk about it with my dog because I feel like that's another reason why he really matters to me, because I feel like I manifested him in a really cool way, in the sense of like, maybe it was 2 years ago, I bought these little like quote signs from this place in Savannah, Georgia. And one of them was, all you need is love and a dog. And I have it in my bathroom. And I think Willie is a really good example of what happens when you just like think positive general thoughts about something and not worry about it, not try to control the how. Like, I never was like worried about getting a dog, I never was like, I gotta get the perfect dog. Whereas a lot of other things, I think that way. I gotta get the perfect job. I gotta get the perfect house. I gotta get money. But Willie, it was just like, I love dogs. I can get a good dog. I think it's gonna happen. And so like, that was a lesson to me especially about manifestation. I feel like it was like a general thing, not like the specific stuff. How do we try to control getting things that we want in our life sometimes?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know I wanted a dog. Does that mean I manifested well, or focused on my intention?
Oh man, that's hilarious. It just came up.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to introduce how I have known you, and then let me just put it over here, and then we'll see where you want to take it. Do you see him?
He's got his hands up.
Yeah.
Is his belly?
Party. That's his. Yeah. He's actually got this cool white like interior belly fur.
That's awesome.
Let's see if he he's like, yeah, I'm moving now. I'm on the move, people. I'm on the move. Come here. You want to he's like, you got a 5-minute nap. That's what I do. I just have a super fast. Yeah, you're so good. You're so good. And you can lay back down. Okay, so comedy. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
You and I started doing some coaching together, I mean, almost 2 years ago.
It's great. It was it 2 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah, right?
It was like around Thanksgiving.
But what I loved is we started talking about how we were going to do some coaching, and then you're like, yeah, but I got to go to Costa Rica, for New Year's, and so I won't have time, but maybe we can start.
Oh, man.
I was like, why does he need a coach? He's hanging out in Costa Rica.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Still, like, it was awesome, right? You were so mellow and, well, no, that's not true. You were pretty wound up at that point because you were making some big changes in your life.
I was very wound up. Yes. Saying I was wound up is very fair.
All right. So why don't we go to that? Tell us what brought you into coaching.
Yeah. So I think I've always been really into self-help stuff, specifically the last 10 years, maybe. I got really I was born really religious, and I sort of floated out of that. I've always been like a constant wanderer, searcher for something, the quote unquote answers. And so search just kept continuing, pushing me different places. My cousin, we mentioned Andrea, she's an acupuncturist. So that was like, I finally did that. That was a big jump for me because initially I was against it for no reason, which she still brings up to this day. She's still pissed about that. But I loved it. It changed my life. It was great. I did that for like 2 years, and I was like, okay, well, what's next? What's the next thing? And then Andrea just kept talking about you, how I need to talk to you. And then I think I reached a point where I was like, I felt like I dead end, I hit a wall. So then I was like, oh, let's try this. And it's been amazing. You're the best. And that's been another awesome life-changing experience that I would recommend to everybody.
You're sweet.
It is.
Well, let's talk about where you were when you and I first started working together. So you were working for a magazine.
I was working at Lucky Magazine, which was a women's fashion magazine, as a fact checker, still doing comedy all the time, still auditioning, stand-up comedy, auditioning, having a couple of projects going on, nothing crazy, some other side writing gigs, and that was it. But feeling kind of stuck, for sure. Or just like stuck and just a little down, I would say, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and then from there, stuff started getting significantly better, which is great.
So I remember they had asked you at the magazine, do you want to stay? Do you want to do this sort of in-between thing? And you weren't sure if you should stay or if you should go. Do you remember the unsteadiness energetically of that time?
Yeah, for sure. I felt very, I don't even want to like give this power, but it's the thing where everybody's like, steady job versus pursuing your creativity. And it's funny because as we speak now, I'm kind of in a similar position, much better position, I would say, but it's like one of my gigs just ended. So I'm kind of in between gigs, and there's this, when you're doing comedy, sometimes if you feel like, oh, what's next? Where's my next? Like it's kind of like a frenetic energy. And so that was where I was deciding, like, should I stay there for safety or just throw myself out there into the universe to see what happens? So.
And what was the first thing that came along? Do you remember?
That's a good question. Well, eventually, okay, so I think we started coaching. I'm trying to decide so that would have been AOL. I think that my sports comedy job would have been the first big thing, which was awesome. That was like maybe 3 months later, for sure, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was really great. So then I got a job working on a sports comedy show at Huffington Post AOL. So that was very, very cool.
Do you remember like so here's the funny thing. When you're in it, right? When you're in the heaviness of what's coming next, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
What's happening? It's really hard to believe that there is this thing that's going to arrive, right? Like
yes.
Stuck in the, oh God, I can't see it. I don't know. I don't even have a feeling of what to try to reach for.
Yes.
And every single time that you've been in that space, you've had one little spark of something, and it's taken you to this whole other plateau. Like you've come big leaps, not just little steps.
Yeah, and that's great. And you're right. It is. it's great. It's wild because you'll just get clouded by like your own fear. I feel good now. I mean, still, I don't feel great, but like, I feel better about being uncertain more than ever before, for sure, because that's definitely a challenge. One of the challenges of being sort of a comic and artist is like, there is no steady career path. There's no, here's your college, here is your trajectory. You get to be middle management, then you're the CEO. It's like, no, you could be, you could be nothing. You could be in Burger King commercials. You could be touring the world. You could be Dave Chappelle. You could be Bill Murray. It's like all these things that you could be. So you kind of want to set your gauge and figure out, well, which one of those things do you want to be? And am I even close to there? So yeah, that's a good point though. I know it's funny how I always think about how sometimes we hold on to things we want. We just say we want them so bad all the time that we don't even realize that if we just let go of that fist of like wanting it, it would come. But we're squeezing it. We all do that with all things,
Yeah, whether it's a relationship or a job or money or trying
to. Like when I go see, I've talked to you about this. When I've seen Esther Hicks speak live, the most telling thing that I actually learned was from the people who I feel like didn't get what she was saying. Because I was like, oh, that's been me so many times where people will ask her a question. She'll give to me what is a very clear answer. And they're like, I don't get it. And it's because they're holding on so tight to being like, no, it has to be this way. And it has to come. I need you to say it's this way, that way. And then it's going to happen.
Yes.
If you're not open, then yeah, you can't hear it.
Yes.
So try to be open more and not like that as much.
Right. I agree. And I think you're doing an incredible job of it.
Oh, thanks.
Let's talk about, because you're going to be humble, let's talk about some of the accomplishments you've had in the last 2 years. I'll throw them out or you can start. Like, don't be bashful, because all of this is on your bio anyway on your website. Although really you need to update it. You're missing a few things. I know. Again this morning.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah, my website, I've been neglecting it a little bit. But yeah, no, so I got to do that sports comedy show, which was really cool. Eventually I kind of became the host of the show, which was awesome. I got to interview some celebrities.
It's called 2 Point Lead.
It was called 2 Point Lead, meet some celebrities, interview people, do some man on the street stuff. Man on the street stuff is like interviews. Whenever you see like a host or a talk show host on the street interviewing people, it's called Man on the Street. So got to do a lot of that. I got to do some commercials, which was really cool. Got to be in some commercials. Booked like 3 or 4 of those in the last 2 years, maybe a little bit more. And then I have a side gig, or not a side gig. I've been working on this web series. I can't call it a web series because Arturo gets mad. A series for Comedy Central Online called Alternatino, which is a Latin-based sketch series. So we've had 2 seasons of that. And I think going forward, we'll be able to hopefully make it into a TV show, and which is really exciting. And I think that's going to happen. We'll see. And then, the last 6 months, I've been a head writer for a show for Huffington Post called Celebrities Have Issues.
Which is hysterical.
Yeah, it's a sketch series with celebrities and their causes. We've got to do some really good ones. Two of the videos did really well. One with Kristen Bell got like 15 million hits, which is crazy. And the other one was Asif Manvi, the one we just did. I think it's almost at 3.5 million or something.
So funny.
Yeah, so that was really good. That was a great experience. I got to be like the guy on that one, which was awesome.
Security guy, the TSA agent.
I also got to be the man, the TSA agent, man. But that was great. And then, some other like stand-ups going well, some other good – I have a weekly show at Caroline's about the election, which is actually still going. We have 2 more – maybe we'll have more called Anyone Can Be President, Even Us. And it's funny because we named it that like 5 months ago, and it turns out it's true. Anybody can be president, which is terrifying. But that's been awesome too.
It's amazing. So let's listen to some of the names again, because I think sometimes you gloss over that. So you went from, what was the name of the magazine?
Lucky Magazine.
Lucky Magazine, which is also good. And then you go to Huffington Post, AOL, Comedy Central. Like the names that you are throwing out that you're working with are really good. And the celebrities you've been working with are well-known people. Yeah,
that was a really amazing experience. I hope we get to do more because that was so fun. If I could like design a series that I'd want to do, it'd almost be that series because I got to combine comedy with almost like every single sketch I totally really believed in the cause. So what would happen is a celebrity would do these sketches and then we would donate their fee on behalf of them to a charity. So it was just like win-win. It was so cool.
Mm-hmm. And they were funny. Like, those are really well written.
Thanks. Yeah, that was like, and I got to like bring in some friends to write with me. It was the best. And it's all like, you know, it's the same. My friend Kristen Hartley, who I worked with on 2 Point Lead, she ran this show.
Mm-hmm.
So she was awesome.
So tell me the process, because I think there are a lot of people who want to write, want to create, aren't quite sure, like, what's the best way to make this happen? How do I start? What does it feel like when there's, you know, creative juices flowing?
It's exciting. It's like kind of the best feeling. Sometimes I have to like sit down and do it to be like, okay, you need to write now. And sometimes ideas will just come to me. Like I saw this really funny SNL commercial the other day that made me want to just write a sketch. The answer that I got from everybody when I was starting is the same answer I would give anybody who's starting, and that is you have to just do it. There's no magic formula. There's no magic pill. It's like, and we're living in a time now, the landscape's changed since I started, where everything, all like bets are off. Like you can do literally anything now yourself, and you almost will have a better shot of making it if you do that. I think everybody still says that to me. I go to meetings and they just still will be like, keep making the stuff, keep doing your own thing. It's so important. And don't worry about failing, because you have to. You have to fail. Like it's like, you know, I've done so many sketch videos, and the first ones I did were not good, but I'm glad I did those because they got me to understand what good is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like anything, you know, writing a joke, you're not going to write great jokes every time, and that's good. Otherwise it would be too easy. So I feel like, yeah, you have to do it. It doesn't matter. There's no excuses anymore, because you can literally do some of the best stuff I've done. I feel like I did myself, that I'm the most proud of. So it's like, and then it's like funny, because when we get to the people at the top, like Louis C.K., some of these bigger comics, Dave Chappelle, they did it all themselves. Like even at the top, they're like, I don't want any networks involved. Like, give us money and we'll make the thing. Just leave us alone. And that's still the best formula, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you have written someone's moving again. You have written just some beautiful, the way I've seen it when I describe it to you is I feel like you hit the pulse of what people are thinking and feeling.
Oh, thanks.
And then you write to that. And so it touches the nerve, or that's not the right word. It touches truth.
Yeah, there's like a prevailing sentiment. Like last night we were sitting around, my roommates and I, and you can feel, I feel like when certain things are like questions that are being asked that no one's kind of answering. And I was saying last night, my roommates were actually disagreeing with me, but I think there's going to be a point in time when people
You're blinded there by the light.
Yeah, I know. When people are really gonna really want to go to like what's known as a really unbiased news site. I feel like that's gonna be the new thing. We got like kind of an argument about that. But it's like, yeah, you can kind of sense like what's trends. Unfortunately I spend a ton of time online reading stuff. So you can kind of see like, what do people say hi? What are people looking for? What do they want? And yeah, that's sort of like what hasn't been done before. A lot of times I have to Google stuff. Has this idea been done before? Sometimes it has, and that's okay, you know?
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to pause 1 second because I need to put Star in the crate for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a huge Jon Stewart and Bill Murray fan.
Yes.
And you got to meet Bill Murray this year. Like, fill me in.
All right, well, I didn't necessarily get to meet. I followed Bill Murray. So I count that as... My girlfriend got invited to a Netflix after party for Bill Murray's Christmas special that was on Netflix last year. And he was there, and I followed him for a long time. It's cool. It was great. I learned a lot. It was more of a learning process. I didn't want to bother him, but I followed him.
You were dancing by him, if I remember right.
I was dancing right by him. I took a couple pictures of him, too. He didn't know, which was creepy. But
why do you like him so much?
That was an amazing night. I like him. I like both those guys so much is because I think not only are they super funny and super interesting people, I just think they're like, humanity is so abundant. especially, well, Bill Murray is just such an interesting dude because he always just also strikes me as someone who just does what he wants to do. It's like when I saw him, he brushed off one of his assistants because she was like bothering him, and he was like, no, because he was too busy having fun. And I feel like that's such a good lesson for all of us. And it's so interesting to me that he's been almost appropriated by so many people as this like almost a messiah figure, because I think people are so attracted to people who don't really care what other people think and get to do what they want to do. And I think that he's always kind of floated doing that, which has been so cool. And he's almost like this elusive figure, like, where's Bill Murray? Is he here? And then Jon Stewart is just somebody who I always feel like has you talked about having a pulse on what people are thinking. His is like, I mean, he just resurfaced and gave this interview about the election that I was like, geez, every time it's like he just, to me, nails the broader perspective about things.
Yeah. I love when you and I've looked at so energy, right? When we try to give form to something that's formless, and we've looked at how you write, how ideas come through you. Do you remember this with the laptop and the microphone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I like it when you said that. You say I experienced downloads, which I like that idea a lot, where it's like almost a shock. Mm-hmm. It is a feeling that I have when I write sometimes that's like, it's a certainty, which I feel like I've been kind of blessed with that. I'm not, that sounds arrogant, but like there's a feeling when I write something or when I hear somebody say something funny, like, so I had to run I was running, some writers' rooms for the Huffington Post show, and we pitch ideas, pitch thoughts. And I feel like when I would hear the idea or hear the joke, I'd be like that. There's this feeling I get where I'm like, that's the joke. Like it's done. Like there's not even a question in my mind. And of course, and when that would get changed, which would happen because of notes or stuff, that's when I would start to get mad. I'm like, you guys don't understand. Like this is the joke. So that's been awesome. And yeah, the laptop thing is like, it was cool. Like I remember you had me draw like this, like a lightning bolt, getting almost hit with a lightning bolt, and then it produces an idea, which then produces stuff. So it produces money. All those things.
That was the flow, right? Like it came in, and then it came out your mouth, but at first it was coming out your fingers. So you were trying to type it in, and your fingers couldn't keep up with how fast the energy and the ideas were flowing. Yeah, so you always told me to like walk around and think of ideas. And that's something I would like to do more. I was actually just listening to Wayne Dyer last night talk about how he never spoke using notes, because one night he had to give this talk in front of 2,500 people in Houston. He's like, I sat in my hotel room, I wrote out all these notes. He's like, and then I got to the talk and I was like, I don't have my notes at my hotel room. He's like, so I'm going to just do it. And he did it. And ever since then, he said he always just spoke extemporaneously, which I think is incredible. And there's some comics that I know that do that too. So that's kind of the goal to me, because it's not that you go up there with nothing. It's that you trust the process and you trust that you're going to get stuff flowing through you, which is, to me, incredible. Yeah, it's like alignment.
There's still some fear I have where I'm like, okay, what if the alignment's not there? What about all these jokes I have? So I would like to do a little bit of both, and sometimes I do. There's some nights I perform where I'm like, I'll just start talking to people and I have no idea what I'm going to say, which is cool. I like that a lot.
Are those good nights? Yeah,
usually those are really good nights. Some nights, though, the fear feels overwhelming, so you go back to the stuff that works. It's a crutch. Mm-hmm. But it's a good crutch sometimes, because there's definitely some nights when I'm like, this is not working. Comedy is such an interesting thing because there's no combination. There's nothing that I could say would work every time. Stand-up comedy I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Some nights you can go up and be like, I have this plan to do this, and then the audience wants nothing to do with that thing. So you have to figure out how to make now you have to almost completely renew yourself on stage immediately.
Yes. I remember us looking at that also in an energy form. Like, how do we, because I can't imagine doing that. I don't like being live in front of people. Camera feels great to me, but staying in front of a room of people and knowing that I have to entertain them, like that's pressure. But I was looking at, like, when you're standing there and you have all these people in front of you, how is energy flowing and moving through the room?
Right.
You want to talk about it from what we looked at?
Yeah, I really liked that you, and I still do this. I picture like sending more good, like sending good out to the audience, like as I talk, and it's like like more of a, like I'm shooting stuff, like it's like almost like lines of good at people instead of, I think I was kind of forcing it and being like, I want these people to like me. Now it's more just like, I want to love these people and then see what happens. So it's like, I literally am thinking that when I'm up there now. Wow, I never used to think that. Maybe I did in the beginning, but yeah, it's good. That's really been helpful for me.
Well, that's part of the detachment, right? Like when you're attached to, they have to like me, we have to have this thing, you know, where they laugh and I entertain them and they laugh some more. And so it's expected that this exchange will go back and forth. Yeah. You just detach from that. You're like, here it goes. Like, I'm just going to send it out and see where it goes and trust it.
Yeah, because like the vibe I want to, as much as I definitely want to like talk about important things that matter to me and, you know, create an interesting dialogue or perspective with people. But most importantly, as a comic, I want people to leave there being like, that was a really fun time. I want people to be like, that was very fun. I want it to be people, I want like people to feel good. Like that's the most, honestly, that's the most important. When they see me perform, when I do sketches, that's where I usually will like, okay, I'm definitely trying to say something and also make them laugh, of course. That's what you want more than everything. But when I want someone to see me and be like, that was awesome, like, and feel that energy in any way, you know?
Yeah. And we had looked at when there's one person in the audience that is, remember, not into you. Like, what do you do then?
Well, I'm usually okay with that. Comics, there's this well-known thing where comics say that like when they perform and everyone likes it, but one person doesn't, they hone in on that one person. I usually don't do that, but there was a show I did in Brooklyn, which can be somewhat of a judgmental place. If you do like these cool, hip, liberal rooms, there's definitely some judgment. So like at times, so I did a show and this girl was just like commenting on everything I did and she was in the front. So the problem with that is that when you're heckling from the front, the audience in the back has no idea if you start addressing them, like what's going on. You basically have to like amplify. So you're having this conversation with this person in the front. Now you have to include the 100 people behind her. So it frazzled me, man. Like it totally frazzled me. And it was good. I mean, I feel like from there I definitely grew where that hasn't happened as much. But it definitely frazzled me, yeah. So I remember you, like, we talked about, like, putting up, like, almost like a net, almost like an energetic net against that kind of stuff, which is good, for sure.
Yeah, and there was this thing with eye contact. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. So it was, like, because you asked me, like, go back, like, what have you learned from watching yourself? And I was like, oh, I need to make better eye contact. And I think I'm definitely doing that. I'm sure there's times when I like to do more, but I think I'm definitely doing better eye contact. It's huge.
Yeah. Well, and it was so fun because you came to Cincinnati for a gig.
Oh, yeah. This time last year.
So I got to see you. Like, I got to sit in the back of the room. I was like, oh, this is what we've been talking about all year. Like, this is what he does. And he's so good at it.
Oh, man. And that was fun because that crowd was awesome. It was a huge room. Those crowds actually are, like, easy. Not easy, but they're just so much they were all there. Like when everyone's all there to have fun, it's great. That crowd was awesome. That was so fun.
Yeah. So you've also been doing some traveling because the shows you've been doing for Huffington Post, you've had to go to LA and different places. What is the New York energy? Is that the right word? Yeah, energy. Like the field. What is the field like energetically in New York?
It's intense. I would say the energy is frenetic. Elizabeth Gilbert had this in Eat, Pray, Love. There was this section where she said like every city has a word that people are uttering subconsciously. And she said like New York's word is like achieve. And I feel like that is a word that you hear. Like you can feel that word on the street. Which is interesting because then everyone I know in LA, it's like chill, so people in LA complain about how nobody really works that hard. And then everyone in New York is like, well, we work too hard. So it's finding that balance. And I would like to be chill more, but I also love working. Like I genuinely love to work, to do stuff, to write, to create. Like, so New York is great in the sense that it makes you push yourself to do, like, this is not a city to sit. Like right now I don't have a day gig as of this instant, but there's no part of me that's like, I'm going to just enjoy today. I'm trying to enjoy today, but there's like, I'm doing work today. Like I'm still doing stuff because it's not a city. It's not a city where you can be like, I'm just going to lounge around and waltz from coffee to shop to coffee shop. Although I have done that, but so yeah, it's interesting. That's the energy I would say. But I've also then heard like Esther Hicks say, well, that is the benefit of that is that it's moving so fast. Stuff can come to you way more quickly. Stuff can manifest like way faster here, which I believe that too.
Yeah. Well, looking at what you've done in the last couple of years, I would agree with that. You've settled into what you want to create and sent that out, and it's come back like very quickly.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's great. I think it's like, yeah, you can unlock stuff here and everything at your fingertips. Like anything is possible in a day, which is the coolest part about New York to me is the ability to practice your art if you want to do that anywhere you want, to see amazing shows every single night, see famous people do their thing. It's all at your fingertips. Like you can have a great New York City night. Could be like, you get up, you do 2 shows, and then you could go see a concert of your favorite band. It's great. It's amazing. Like that is very cool.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think you want to do? Are you wanting to stay there? Are you wanting to travel more? Like as you're looking at 2017?
I think both. I think I want to stay here. New York in the summer is amazing, in the spring. But I also want to, I'm up for a change. I've been here for almost 10 years, so I would love to, but I want the right gig. So I've been saying like, I really want a gig that will let me travel, but also it's like make a really big difference. Maybe it's in LA, maybe it's not. So like, yeah, I'm open to anything as long as my dog comes. Woo!
The dog that fell asleep on you.
Dog that's sleeping on me.
Yeah, we've talked about this. Like one of your biggest mentors spiritually or energetically has been Wayne Dyer.
Oh yeah.
Right. I remember the day he died, you were devastated, right? Like that was a big shock to you.
I was not happy. I still had moments. You were great because I we spent most of our time talking about how it's okay. But I spent last night, I was like, oh, I miss him. It was actually an interview with Tony Robbins. Him and Tony Robbins interviewed each other like 15 years ago. And I was like, oh, I miss this dude. But I mean, there's so much stuff he has out there, so that's good. Yeah, he's somebody who I think is like one of the greatest people to ever live on this earth, and everything that guy represented to me is the best ever. I love him so much. I think he was incredible.
Yeah, so tell me why. Like, what is it about his work or his message that resonates so much?
I think he was, we talk about people who didn't care what other people think. I think he was like almost the leader in the current like self-help stuff that we see. He was like one of the first, but people give like self-help such a bad rap, I feel like sometimes. But like when he broke it down to the core, he was just like this spiritual like leader who always marched to his own drummer. Like everything he did, he made like so many choices in his life that were like not a rational choice. He was about to get tenure as a professor. He's like, I'm out. I want to go travel and write books. And he wrote The Erroneous Zones. And that book became one of the most popular best-selling self-help books ever. He had this really big fallout with his dad. Well, he didn't know his dad, but he had this really big breakthrough with his dad where he decided to forgive him. As soon as he forgave him, he wrote Erroneous Zones. There's basically like one of the last talks I saw him give, he was talking in front of this corporation, which I thought was really interesting. And he was just like, I live in Maui. He's like, if you need me later on today, I'll be in the ocean. And there's this peacefulness about him that I thought was like unprecedented, where he was just all love. It was always directed outwards. He used to wear this shirt that just said love all the time. And people belittle that idea, but it's, I think, the only thing that ultimately matters. And he knew that, and he got back to that. And gave away stuff. I mean, this dude was like rich, but he like gave away a lot of stuff. He loved his kids, loved traveling. He got to talk to so many people, and his message was always, it was very countercultural. You know, it was very much, I remember me and Andrea listened to this like 7-hour seminar he gave for one of his books. And his whole message was very much like, he was very anti-rules, which is like my favorite thing. Very anti-establishment, very like, you know, blaze your own trail and don't let anybody else mess with that ever. Like, we all have a purpose. That's what he was saying last night to Tony Robbins. He's like, we are all on this, like, everybody here has this like amazing journey and amazing mission to do if you tune into it.
Yeah, it's his message of empowerment that I think is so, it'll last forever. You know, no matter how many generations continue, if those videos exist and they watch them later, the message of empowerment will still be the same.
Yeah, like his voice even last night was like a really great reminder. I was like, oh yeah, this is the voice. Yeah. I love this voice. He was just talking about he was saying this really great thing about how like he never had to discipline his kids because he's like, we just lived it. Like me and my wife just live. He's like, we get on an airplane. We never told him this is how you behave. This is how you do things. He's like, because we just live love. Like we just try to live love, and it's always top down, which I really like that a lot. You know, I don't have kids, but it's an interesting idea. I know it's harder said than done. I mean, my sister's kid was just here, but like, yeah. So stuff like that. Yeah, he's just, I don't know. I felt like when I think about like nature and I think about like, you know, that like warm feeling when you feel really good about life and like love, I feel like that is literally him. I literally feel that way. Like I think about him when I'm feeling really peaceful. I'm like, oh, that is him, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
One of the things that I love so much about you is you're always looking for mentors and examples, and like you study those people and you try to understand why do they do the things they do and how did they become successful, and you really use those role models. The latest one, and you've loved him forever, but you just shared him with me, is Bruce Springsteen.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You want to talk about it?
I mean, it could go on for years. Yeah, like that is so true. And I also want to caveat that by saying like, there is some idolizing them, but I don't, it's more just like, I really just want to know how they think.
Right. No, I get
like, I want to know. And it's cool because I listened to this Tony Robbins thing last night where he was literally saying the same. He used to do the same thing where it's like, all right, everyone's born on this earth. We're all given a mission. Why are some people more exceptional, like living what I consider to be more exceptional lives than others? And like, why do they get to do that and some other people don't? And like, and I want to be on this team. I want to be on the exceptional team. And I'm like, we'll do anything it takes to feel and to get there. So yeah, like Springsteen is arguably, him and Wayne Dyer is like three people the most influential. He is an example of everything that is good to me in this world. Seeing a Bruce Springsteen concert is like, it's like that. I don't believe in a religion, but if I did, it would be that. It's like 4.5 hours of like a range of like the best and crazy, like full emotional range. Like you're dancing, you're having the best time, and it's like, America, what are we doing? Then it's like bringing people. It's always about bringing people in, having humanity, admitting that we're flawed, and like he was a dreamer, man, and he was such a pioneer, as similar to Wayne, where it was just like, I have this big vision for my life and nothing is going to stop me from getting there. And I believe in these like huge romantic dreams, and I'm going to go out. Did I ever tell? Okay, the best way I can describe Bruce Springsteen, this is the best, in this quote. There is this song that he sings called Growing Up. It's about growing up. Did I ever tell you this?
I think so. This is about the house? Going back to the house?
No.
That was my father's house. Sorry, never mind.
My father's house. So, no, it's okay. So Growing Up. So this is a song literally about growing up. And this was like early on in his career. He was in LA performing this song, and he goes, I think my parents are out here. His parents did not want him to do this. They came from New Jersey to see him. And he's like, I think my parents are here tonight. He's like, you know, growing up, he's like, my mom always said to me, she's like, or my dad always said to me, you should be a lawyer. You should get a little something for yourself. And my mom said to me, she's like, no, he should be an author. You could get a little something for yourself. And he pauses and he goes, but what they don't understand is I wanted everything. And then he goes, and so one of you wanted an author, the other one wanted a lawyer. He goes, tonight you're just going to have to settle for rock and roll. And then he goes, boom, all the music comes in and I'm like, ah! That's how I would just describe him in general and his shows. It's that feeling. And it's just a feeling of like, all these people I'm describing, I think you feel the same way. It's like, you know, we're inundated with all these messages, right? Advertisements. I heard something where it's like by the time you're like 15, you would have seen like 15 million advertisements or something, some crazy stat like that. All the messages we're getting. And then these people that I look up to, I feel like stood on the outside of all of that. And they're like, oh, actually, none of that is true. Yeah. And that feeling to me is so damn exciting. It makes me so excited. And that's why I think I became a comic too, because we get to stand outside of that and be like, that's not true. Yeah. Or that's not healthy, or that's funny. Why do we do this? That's insane.
It's true. Like comedians almost have permission to say whatever it is they want to say.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you might get judged for it, but also like people know that's your thing and that's what you do. So just say it.
Yeah, it's kind of like I've been saying, like comedians say all the things that people are thinking, but nobody wants to say.
Yeah.
I think that is awesome. And sometimes that runs into problems. Sometimes people get offended, you know, but it's like, you got to understand that people have to take that chance, because comics have to take that chance, because otherwise nobody else is saying those things. So it's like, sometimes it can be ugly. And I will admit, like I've definitely said some stuff and made some videos that I'm like, that probably wasn't the best, but I had to take the chance and see, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that I think has been helpful for you and I in the coaching that we do is, I don't know a lot about comedy. I don't know a lot about the world that you live in. Like I live in this my husband calls it a bubble. He's like, you live in this happy bubble and you just think that the world's going to be good and everyone's going to get along. And yeah, I like that vibration, and I hold that vibration for people because I don't think there's a lot of that happening. I think people expect the worst and they go to lack and they go to judgment and they go to criticism. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah. I like a bubble. I sent you that article of that guy in Georgia who is literally walking around with a sign on his chest that says, I don't know what happened with the presidential election. I don't want to know. I'm very happy. I love that guy. I think that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with bubbles. I think that, we're all living in our own projected sense of reality anyway. So why not create a reality that is protected and awesome?
Yeah. Well, and that expands us, you know, I think sometimes.
Yeah, it helps you grow.
Yeah, it helps you grow, and it helps you stay in purpose with what your life's work is meant to be.
And that's the thing I've like really struggled with this election, and I think I'm coming out of it, but it's like, you know, why engage so much if it's just going to be, the effects of it's just going to be, you're in a bad mood. Like, you know, as Shakespeare always says, like the only thing you can control really is your own point of attraction and where you're coming from. So if you screw that whole thing up because you read some article on Huffington Post, it's like, that sucks. So I'm trying not to do that as much. I'm trying to let it wash over me or not read it. So it's good.
As you stretch your back out.
You stretch it out and just kind of think about it. It's good.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that you and I talk a lot about too is contrast. You know, there's always going to be conflicting ways that you can see things, and there's always going to be stuff you don't like so that you can more clearly identify what you do like.
Right.
So the contrast exists to help us get clear on what our desires are and move in that direction. So
yeah, for sure.
Judge all the contrast and we're like, we don't need that, and I don't agree with that, and just push it aside and never.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. How's Willie doing?
He's sleeping right here.
I think mine's taking a nap in the crate.
That's great. Yeah, he's so awesome.
All right. Any last thoughts? Anything else you want to share?
I think you're going to have a great time with your dog. I think he's going to get way chill. It's going to happen. I believe it's going to be good. I'm glad you got him. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. You got to keep reminding me of that when he's.
I know. Every day I'll text you and say it's going to be fine.
He is a good choice. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. It's going to be good.
So if people would like to get a little comedy fix and see some of your sketches and laugh at the absurdity of life along with us, how do they find you?
Yeah, go to my website, BrendanFitzgibbons.com. Also, I post a lot of stuff on Facebook. It's kind of my primary, really, the thing I update the most is probably my Facebook page. Brendan Fitzgibbons, BrendanFitzgibbons.com. It's pretty that's where all my show schedule is and stuff.
Awesome. And if they go to New York, they should definitely see you. If you come to
see my show, yeah, it's really fun.
If you come to Cincinnati, I'll spread the word.
Yeah, you're the best like that. That's awesome.
So good to chat. Give Willie a big hug when he wakes up.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Brendan.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.